Hello everyone and welcome to another Genshin Impact video. Today I'm going to cover Yae Miko. Even though she's a brand new character in the game, still a lot of details to come out about her. Not too many people know how to build her just yet. There's a lot of testing going on. Today I would like to just cover some of the team comps I like to run with her and the reasons why. So on the current roster that I have, the players or characters that I like playing with the most would have to be currently Sucrose, Zhongli, and Bennett currently, because I like to take advantage of her E skill. A lot of her damage scales and comes from her E, and so while she's on the field, since her attack doesn't snapshot like other characters, whatever current buff she has to her attack, it currently affects how much her E does. And so having Bennett using his ult and she stand inside of it and then taking advantage of Sucrose's weapon, the Thrilling of Tales Dragon Slayers, is a huge impact, and the reason why I do so, even though it's only a 10-second buff, within those 10 seconds she can easily put out 400, 500,000 damage, just because of the short buff window. And then because of her low health, when you take a look at her health, she only has about 15k, and that's at level 90. It's unfortunate. So she does a lot of damage, but she's extremely fragile, and for that very reason, that's why I like to have Zhongli on the field and have him put his shield on there. And also because his shield reduces enemies resistances by 25%, it also adds to her overall damage. I like her too because she just feels very floaty and very smooth when she attacks, and because of the range of her E, I just love the fact that you no longer have to chase characters around the field. She's kind of like a little bit of a mix of like a Venti a little bit because of that very reason. Venti always fit in a lot of people's teams because he just made it easy to gather up enemies, pull them in, and so you didn't have to go chase them around, and it made it for clearing content a lot easier and a lot quicker. And so I feel like she brings that same element, but at the same time I like the team elemental resonance that comes with Electro. And a lot of people hate Electro because they feel like it doesn't do as much damage as Pyro or as much damage as water with Vaporize and stuff like that, or even if you do the melt comps with Fire and Ice. But I do like the Taser teams, the Water and Electro team combinations as well. I feel like those teams are really great at passing around damage, especially in AoE situations. And so the second team I like to run whenever I'm playing, I like to run her with Kokomi, the Shogun, and Xingqiu. Now everybody knows Xingqiu is universal, and he works on any and every team that there is, and so is the Shogun. And because of that very reason, you can set her turrets out on the field, combine that with the Shogun's E, and then use Xingqiu's ult, and then you can probably lay down Kokomi's E as well. And the amount of electro taser damage that there is, and the amount of energy particles that are being generated, everybody's ultimates are coming back extremely fast. So necessarily building energy recharge in their kit is a little bit necessary, simply because her ult is a very, very high cost at 90. And so for free-to-play people, unfortunately you'd have to sacrifice some of your artifact stats because you don't have this effect right here where using her ult generates a total of 24 energy, because she can set down 3 of her E's at one time. It does detract from the type of stats that you will run on her. It's unfortunate because I wasn't necessarily looking for those artifact stats for energy recharge, and which I'm glad I didn't. But the main stat I was really trying to focus on, which was elemental mastery on her. And so in her passive talent, she gains a small but noticeable as you add up. I don't have Kazuha leveled, and I don't have him in any constellation forms, so I'm not really able to take advantage of his ability to use his E and then give the team a whole passive elemental mastery buff. But whenever he comes back around, I'll grab him, and then we can see how much damage that he does. Right now it's a little early for her talents, since she's just released. You can't really max out everything. You have to do the weekly bosses, so you have to revisit, or I have to revisit and do another guide in about another 3 to 4 weeks, depending on my drop rates whenever it comes to the bosses. But I did get very lucky overall. A total, I have 287 elemental mastery, which is pretty high, considering that I still was able to pull out a total of 82 crit rate. That's because when her ascension stat gives her about 24% crit rate for free, which is nice. And then a lot of crit damage here with 187 simply because of her actual weapon gives 66% crit damage, which is huge. And so for that very reason, the amount of damage and my output that comes out of her, it's kind of crazy for you to just tap a button 3 times and just watch the numbers just begin to stack up over time. I can appreciate the fact that they do a good job of creating new characters and making them feel unique, but then at the same time not making old characters obsolete. Power creep is a very real thing in every video game, and eventually you end up having to leave old characters behind. But I feel like she's a character that's going to be around to stay for a good while, in my personal opinion. But I will say, at maximum investment, she does get a lot stronger. And I hate to say it, but the C6 stat, being able to ignore 60% of an opponent's defense is a major damage buff. But again, the amount of investment that it takes to get that far, like 98% of the population won't get there. So I understand. I think one of the most important things when it comes to building a character, when it comes to theory crafting, is trying to align, what artifacts you have with what stat rolls that you have. For me, the best combination I could come up with, and one that I thought would be interesting as well, is having a 2-piece Wanderer's Troop combined with a 2-piece Emblem Severed Fate. I think depending on if you have constellations or not, she does need some energy recharge, especially if you don't have constellations. If you have more constellations, then she doesn't need as much energy recharge. And so because I do have constellations, the 2-piece of the Emblem Severed Fate helps me out because it made it so I don't have to put so much in energy recharge. I know I think the videos or things that I may have seen is that a lot of people seem to think she needs around 150 plus energy recharge. And I'm glad that because I do have some constellations, I may be able to cut how much I needed in half. So I only have about 125, which is great because the base is 100, and then I have the 2-piece set, plus I have a 5% energy recharge on my sands. So it makes it pretty easy for me to be able to have my ultimate up whenever it's ready. It has a long cooldown anyway of 22 seconds, and so it's kind of painful. Once you use it, you have to wait a while. And so in the meantime, I think the 2-piece Wanderer's Troop comes in handy because of the 80 points of elemental mastery. Being able to cause interactions with other elements and take advantage of overload or taser and stuff like that. I think it's beneficial to have elemental mastery. And again, it does add a little bit of an attack buff because of her passive talent, the Enlightened Blessing. And so I hope that the showcase is something that you'll enjoy, and hopefully I'll see you in the next video.